You're listening to Self-Leadership with Dr. Bensmann, the podcast for entrepreneurial minds. How often do you start your day already in reaction mode before you've even worked on your most important topics? Which information around you is truly reliable and what is simply loud, emotional, or manipulative? And are you already using AI as a productive partner, or is it mainly creating additional pressure because everyone expects you to have a clear AI strategy? Welcome to a new episode of Self-Leadership with Dr. Bensmann, where we explore how mastering self-leadership helps you thrive in all areas of your life. I'm Burkhard Bensmann, a consultant, executive coach, and professor. I work with entrepreneurial people in Germany and abroad, mostly in demanding transition situations. As an executive coach and consultant, I've been working very intensively on the topic of AI for at least the past 2 years. One element of my coaching system is AI impulses for CEOs, owners, and managing directors. AI is both a blessing and a curse, as you know, and we have to learn how to make it work for us. AI should help us focus and keep the essential things in view. That's why today's episode is about a core question of effective leadership. How do you lead yourself when the information stream never ends, when AI increases the speed, and at the same time the risks of disinformation and deepfakes grow? So in this episode, I'll take you on a practical walkthrough of 3 building blocks with reflection questions, as always. By the way, because of this topic, I wrote a new, very compact book in English around the turn of the year. The title, Lead Yourself in a Crazy World. The suggestions here in this episode refer to the content of the book, where I add to them and go deeper. At the end of the podcast, I'll share a brief note about the book. You will also find the link to the book in the show notes. So let's get to the topic of this episode, focus instead of constant stress. Why this matters right now. I think many leaders experience this already before 9 a.m. or 8 a.m., emails, chats, groups, news, internal issues, and before the real work even begins, the mind is already full. On top of that, content has not only become more complex, it has become harder to assess because AI can generate text, images, audio, and video that look authentic. From my perspective, 2026 will be the year when deepfakes become a central problem. So the first building block I want to talk about is protect your mind because attention is a strategic resource. The second building block, create a simple trust filter that keeps you capable of acting. And the third, become a conscious user of AI with smart use and necessary boundaries. Let's start with the first building block, protecting attention, your focus rules. Focus rules are your personal, deliberate set of rules for when information is allowed into your awareness and when it isn't. They define how you deal with emails, chats, news, and meetings so you can reliably regain thinking time for what matters. The point is not to get less input, but to regain control over timing and channels. Why it matters: if your day consists of dozens of interruptions, you don't just lose time, you lose mental space for strategic decisions. And that's exactly what leaders are paid for, in my mind. Setting priorities, giving orientation, and making decisions that hold up. My reflection question for you: when during the day is the mental noise strongest for you? Morning, afternoon, or evening? And what creates it? Meetings, email, messenger, news, social media, Practical impulse, 3 rules that work immediately. Rule number 1, 2 to 3 fixed email windows per day instead of constant reacting. Rule number 2, 1 60 to 90-minute focus block every day. Notifications off and no parallel channels. And rule number 3, meeting discipline. No phones on the table. And if you want to test this, not as a new big project, but as an experiment. Now let's move to the second building block. Trust filter. Decide what you believe before you act. You don't need perfect certainty. You mainly need a practical filter that answers the question, does this information deserve my attention and possibly an action? Why it matters. Deepfakes and coordinated disinformation attack trust in people, institutions, markets. Maybe they just build on distrust. And in day-to-day leadership, one false trigger is enough to set off unnecessary escalations, internally or externally. So here's a 3-question filter. Short, but very effective. Before you forward or react to critical information, who benefits if this is believed? Question filter number 2, can I verify it, at least via one independent source? And number 3, what would be the consequence if it's wrong? Reflection questions on this. Think of 3 critical pieces of information, like articles, claims, social media posts from the last 6 months that influenced you. 3 critical pieces of information. Could you verify them independently, or did you rely on gut feeling? Were you drawn more to negative news? What feelings did these pieces of information trigger in you? Of course, I always recommend a social media diet or a media diet. The key line is, don't believe everything you think. The sources are known to me. Don't believe everything you think. A practical impulse? Source minimalism. For global topics in your industry, choose 3 to 5 high-quality sources and decide deliberately which rumor channels you consistently ignore. That came up recently in a conversation with an acquaintance. It sounds simple, but it reduces complexity. Number 3, building block number 3, partnering with AI. Reflective instead of reactive. AI is not only a technology topic. It obviously changes trust, decision quality, and the personal risk profile of leaders. Many experience curiosity and overwhelm at the same time, and then slip into 2 extremes, tech hype or tech avoidance. As I mentioned earlier, part of my coaching system for top leaders are my AI impulses, tailored by me to the needs of my clients. You don't need to become an AI engineer, but you do need a clear, reflective relationship with AI in your role as a leader. Otherwise, tools and expectations will push you around, and that's, again, reaction mode, isn't it? 3 concrete approaches. Number 1, clarify your AI stance, like green, yellow, and red. Green, where does AI support your thinking, concepts, research, learning, planning? Yellow, where do you test carefully? And red, where does it remain deliberately human only? Meaning sensitive feedback, political judgments, values-based decisions. A second approach, minimal cockpit instead of a tool circus. choose a small set of tools you truly understand and use consistently, instead of constant switching. And number 3, cyber hygiene as self-leadership. Leaders are attractive targets. Treat your voice and image as assets that can be misused, and define rules for critical instructions. One immediately actionable example: for unusual financial or strategic requests, require verification via a second channel, phone, in-person, independent channel. One reflection question: which task in your daily work would you most like to support with AI? And which would you never hand over because it's too sensitive? Some micro rituals, clarity in the noise of the day. Many underestimate the impact of small routines that bring your inner control center back online. 3 examples that have proven effective in practice. 5-minute evening journal. What was truly important today and what was just noise? Decision logbook with questions like, what do I know? What am I assuming? And what are my criteria? And 5-second pause in an important conversation before you respond. Breathe briefly, then clarify, what outcome do I want with my answer? A call to action. Yeah, I want to come back to my new compact English book, Lead Yourself in a Crazy World. Because developments, especially in the AI context, are currently moving so fast, I published the book quickly. It's kind of still warm. You can find it on Amazon as an ebook and in print. I'll put the link in the show notes. The book includes 5 focused chapters on the central challenges leaders face today and how to deal with them, a practical self-leadership toolbox on mission, vision, AI radar, media diet, planning days, mental immune checks, and others, and a compact overview of the 7 fields of self-leadership as a framework for regular self-checks and continuous development. So far, so good. Self-leadership in the age of AI does not mean exposing yourself to every influence uncritically. Surely not. It means protecting your attention. It means filtering information better and using AI consciously as a tool. Thank you for tuning in to Self-Leadership with Dr. Bensmann. My mission is to empower leaders like you, not just to survive, but to thrive. If this episode was helpful, feel free to share it with someone who also wants focus instead of constant stress. And before you move on, write down one small step you will truly implement this week, so insight turns into practice. Until next time, stay strong and lead yourself well. Yours, Burkhard Bensmann. Thank you for joining me on Self-Leadership with Dr. Bensmann. Until next time, stay committed to leading yourself with purpose.